Hi everyone, I'm Mona Marlowe. Welcome to my YouTube channel. On this video, I am thrilled to talk about Joi Lansing, who was known as the Marilyn Monroe of television in the 1950s and 60s. And I'm going to reveal two of her favorite fragrances that she loved and wore. If this is your first time here, I'm all about legendary perfumes and legends who wore them. If that's something you're into, feel free to subscribe, like, and share. A bit about Joi Lansing. I really didn't know much about Joi until I read this fabulous book called Joi Lansing, A Body to Die For, by Alexis Hunter, who was her lover, best friend, confidant the last 3 years of Joi's life. And she revealed a fascinating story, a love story that is definitely unconventional because it's a lesbian love story. And Joi Lansing wasn't known as a lesbian. She was very straight. She married 3 times and had, just many male lovers throughout her life. She was an only child from a Mormon family, and in her early teens started modeling, and I think it was at 17 landed her contract in 1948 with MGM, and that's how her acting career started. But she never really made it big until she started doing television, and we all know that TV became very popular in the 1950s, and that was the medium that really made Joi Lansing a star, even though she did many B movies, and also big, she was in big movies, but very small parts, unfortunately. But let's just say she was lucky enough to be a working actress in Hollywood from 1948 up until 1970, even though her career went into a major decline by 1970, the late 60s. The blonde bombshell look, or, the dumb blonde roles were cliche, passe, just, cliche as well, and not popular anymore. So she really suffered. But what's fascinating is that what Alexis Hunter reveals in this beautiful, touching story book is that I think it was, she said, in the mid 60s, Joi wanted to be, as sexy as possible, and that's when breast injections, silicone injections that were illegal, started to become popular in Hollywood, in Vegas, with showgirls and actresses. And it was like around 62, 63. And Frank Sinatra himself introduced Joi Lansing, because that was one of her many loves or lovers, Frankie Sinatra. Anyway, he introduced her and took her to this doctor in LA who was doing the pumping illegally, and Frank had actual silicone injected to his face because he was slightly deformed on one side from his, strange birth, and he had silicone injected on his, one side of his face. And she started getting these injections through, slowly and gradually building her, breast from a C cup to a double D, which wasn't, safe to do at the time and very underground. And then as well, when she, hit her mid 30s or early 30s, she asked her doctor friend if there was anything he can do to help her to remain young and sexy, because she had to play these sexy roles. And he gave her an open prescription in her early 30s of estrogen, Premarin, which is, silicone and Premarin are two things that I know transsexuals deal with, and deal with, the unsafety of illegal silicone injections. And this is what Joi Lansing went through, and this is what unfortunately took her life and what caused cancer in her breasts and then throughout her body. The two fragrances I want to talk about is a 1952 release that was huge in the 50s, and it's Youth Dew by Estee Lauder. Now, I discovered a photograph taken in 1957 of Joi Lansing with a bottle of Youth Dew on her dresser, and this is a very classic, popular, sexy oriental fragrance that I can see Joi Lansing wearing in the 1950s. It was extremely, extremely popular, like I said, for it being a sexy, spicy scent, and it's a top seller till this day. This is a vintage extrait, but the bottle that I saw was for the EDP, the blue classic bottle on her dresser. And another perfume that I know she definitely wore, according to Alexis, who wrote this book, that I asked, she told me that she loved and wore at the time Belogia from the House of Quran. Unfortunately, I don't have Belogia, but I have experienced it. It was released in 1927 by the French house Quran, which I love. And it's a very creamy, sort of spicy carnation, floral, sweet scent that is definitely a golden scent from what I remember, and very, very beautiful, feminine, powdery, definitely not as strong as Youth Dew, but maybe her taste, changed later on in her life, like most people's do. But that was what she favored. And also Alexis mentions in the book that she loved Oil of Olay moisturizer, and I can say she did have a beautiful complexion, and she was a health nut. She was into astrology, and she started studying astrology in the late 50s. And I just discovered a video interview on YouTube of Joi Lansing talking about astrology and how intuitive she was, and she could guess people's signs when they, when she would first meet them. And I kind of have the same gift and passion about, astrology as well, which I found very, very, fascinating, that she was very spiritual. She was a sweetheart, according to everyone that knew her. And she was the sexy blonde bombshell, but also the girl next door, unlike all her competitors that were blonde bombshells and colleagues in Hollywood at the time. And I think that's what makes her, you know, special and unique and remembered till this day. And I definitely want to dedicate this video to Joi Lansing and all of her fans out there. And of course, Alexis Hunter, who wrote this fascinating, beautiful story, which I highly recommend. And it's Joi Lansing, A Body to Die For. I guess with that, I'd like to close. I will see you guys in my next video to come. Bye-bye.